slavery, and that's why you have the majority of the Jews, the real Jews, which are the so-called, which are melanated people, are in West Africa today. And there's even people in South Africa called the Lemba tribe, which they've even stated that their tribe, they go back to Levi. Okay, go on.
The slave markets, or the Roman slave markets, were full of black Jewish slaves.
Right.
And there's a precept, a verse from the Bible, the curses, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
And that's what happened.
From the one end of earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Either wood and stone.
Deuteronomy 28 verse 64.
Right.
This prophecy and all the residue of the prophecies
contain, and I don't cut you too, brother, because the Jesus Christ, he prophesied. I use the term Jesus, so you understand, but his real name is Yahushua. Now, Yahushua, or Jesus Christ, basically he prophesied of that event coming into play, because he said, look, when you see, matter of fact, get the prophecy, brother, if you don't mind.
When you see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
Yeah, Baba Kushar, real quick.
I think even the letter James.
Yeah, that was brought out in the 17th century.
7th century.
Yeah. You right, brother. You right.
But spare me.
No, it's cool.
This is Luke 21, verse 20. And when he shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
that was the Roman army going.
Then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Right. Then know that the desolation is nigh, because when they infiltrated the city, they took menorahs and the lineage. That's why we can't trace our lineage back to Abraham and stuff like that. So what we're doing is we're going based on faith. That's why the Bible deals with faith as well.
There's even a monument in Rome. In Rome, Italy today, called the Ark of Titus. You can Google it, and it basically is a monument to commemorate how the Romans conquered Jerusalem. And it has they've engraved artwork showing the Romans carrying out the menorah from the temple. You can look it up; it's all real. It says.
Okay. It was nice talking to you.
Because if you go on Google and just type in 70 AD, that's the first thing you see. The engraving,
So I can't remember exactly what we were, but I'm pretty sure I was talking about Africa as it is today, where it was and how it came out to this.
I tell you what, give me the Bible dictionary, brother.
Yeah?
So we're gonna show you something.
So let me say this point, and then obviously we'll get the dictionary.
Yeah, go say what you gotta say.
So the reason why, for example, Sudan, I think it's as it is today. So I'm not sure if you know, but since 2011, South Sudan became an independent country. So it's the newest country in the world right now. So if you're looking at, for example, Africa as a map, I wish I had a map right now so I could explain it. But North Africa is pretty much Arabized. So obviously you can see from
because they conquered it.
Exactly.
Well, really, what happened is the Greeks conquered the land, and somehow, some way, they got up in the land after they pushed you guys down.
Of course. So all this sort of, we were in North Sudan. For example, through raping and pillaging and all this other kind of stuff. That's why you get, for example, the light complexion. As really as it is, that's how you got the light complexion. North Sudanese that there are today.
Arabs and stuff like that.
You know what I'm saying? So, for example, what happened was the North Sudanese tended to cling to the Arab fathers and the Arab religion.
And that's why we notice in Sudan and other African places, a lot of people are Muslims. Because they get conquered. It wasn't because they believe in the religion of Islam. It's really because they were conquered by that religion. That's all it was.
So, so when it comes to, for example, Sudan, half of Sudan has been, for example, is mixed. Yeah. And the other half is the
dark skin.
Yeah. So this is where I'm from originally. Okay. I wouldn't even say originally, because if you're looking at, for example, in terms of history, and we were originally in the north of Sudan.
But the thing what we're saying.
So we got pushed down. So we did probably get some of us got pushed down from Egypt. I mean, some of us got pushed down from Egypt. Some of us got pushed down from Sudan because obviously Egypt's above Sudan.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying our people were there even before this, for example, there might have been a mixture.
But you know though, like I said, I mean, I don't know for certainty, but what I do know is the bulk of the people of ancient Egypt, they were pushed down to Sudan.
I remember my point, because I think you were saying something about, for example, us not being
the same people. Right. Yeah, give me the Bible dictionary.
That's why they're not there today in Egypt. This is Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96.
That's what I was about to get to.
I don't cut you, brother, but these devils are going downhill, man.
Wow, what are you saying?
They going homeless and they talking against each other and just acting like savages, man. They're going back to that caveman mentality.
They're smoking cigarettes, man.
Smoking
on the floor.
That's the worst habit ever, man.
No.
Does nothing for you, man.
That's showing you right there that the Most High is changing
drinking
things.
wine, man.
Heavenly Father's changing things around.
So going based up. So you're about to read something?
The youngest son of Noah, will probably be about 96 years before the flood.
Yeah.
And one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the progenitor, which means the father.
Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes, because the Negroes, which are the so-called African Americans, to the Nigerians, the West Africans, West Indian.
So by that point, there goes my issue with the Bible.
The slave with you, yeah?
No, but you have to hear what I'm saying. It says not the Negroes, because the Negroes are what you call, like I've said, the so-called Black Americans, the so-called West Indians, and the so-called Asian people. Okay, they're not the same as the actual indigenous people.
So who are the other sons of Noah?
And so I can say this, even a white man, this is his book.
Yep.
That's why he put it together. So even he knows that Ham is not the progenitor of the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So where do your people? What are your people?
I feel like this is deflection. I feel like this is deflection of what was actually going on and what was actually written down. In terms of, for example, if you're looking at, so who were the sons of Noah?
Well, the sons of Noah, we are the sons of Noah. All of us are the sons of Noah.
No, of course. Who were the 3 sons? Who were the 3 sons of Noah?
The 3 sons of Noah were Ham, Shem, and Japheth. They all. Now, what happened was you had the flood, like you just read. You had the flood that happened. And what happened was
Well, I was thinking of the sons of Abraham. I'm not sure if Ham was.
Yeah, that's a different line. That's a different time period. And actually, you know what? Yeah.
Ham was the son of Abraham.
Noah came way before Abraham.
Was it Noah?
Noah came before Abraham. Abraham came later on. Now let's just get to the point. The point is that you had the flood. What's going on?
Because I said he became, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Now, so who are your people then? But it said Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and so where do your people come from? Because you don't consider yourself Ethiopian, you call yourself a Cushite. So which one are your people then? The Ethiopians, because these are the Africans. These are all the African families.
That's right.
Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So which are your people?
So
are your people either the Egyptians, Ethiopians, the Libyans, or the Canaanites? Because those are all the African nations.
So what tribe do you
from? So which one are you from?
Alright, so what I'm trying to say is, for example, the time in which, for example, the Bible was written, Ethiopian was referred to as
burnt face.
The burnt face.
Yeah.
So that would be my people. So I would probably fall under.
But that's not true. That's not true, because the thing about it is, bro. What you gotta understand, right? Now, you know what? In a sense, you are right, in a sense, because you can use that term and call yourself Ethiopian, but you're never gonna be a Cushite.
But you know, that's listen. So can I references? So can I say something? So the word burnt face. Our Lord, his feet was like they were burnt.
Right.
So burnt, and everyone's burnt.
So I could.
The East Indians are. I met East Indians that are as dark as you. Right. So they're Ethiopians.
Let me say this.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking you. That don't mean anything. That don't mean anything. I'm asking you, where do your people fall under? Because I said these are all the African nations.
Where did you get that reference?
Brother, I want to say one thing.
Get that reference from?
One more thing, bro. Right. You know what proves you're an Israelite, right? Because that's what our people are into. They're into that Pan-Africanist stuff, man. They want to accumulate all African culture together. But there's a difference between the culture, man. And the thing about Africa, the term Africa don't even exist. Because when you go further back in the day, during the time of ancient the ancient times, that land was known as a land of Ham or Canaan. So there was no such thing as Africa, because within the land of Ham, you had different sons of Ham.
Right,
so what the brother's telling you, who do you fall under? Do you fall under? Read it again.
Are you the Egyptians, the Ethiopians,
you can't be two
Libyans,
or
Canaanites?
No,
but I'm saying, what references? Where is that coming from? What kind of references?
From the Bible, brother.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, the time the Bible was made and the time, for example, the amount of times it's been changed. You know what I'm saying?
It hasn't been changed, brother.
King James, you telling me King James didn't change anything?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain one thing. Let me explain. Now, King James didn't do a damn thing, because he was a king. He had interpreters that was under him. Okay, he had 40 plus scholars, and what happened was the book. Come on, you can't say no. We know about
King James.
We know King James.
This kind of thing is happening today. You're telling me King James, but
let me finish my point. What I'm saying is that we know King James. We read this Bible inside and out. We know about King James. Now, King James, he was a so-called black man that ruled in Scotland. Okay, he was the king of Scotland. All right, and he had 40 plus interpreters. They were Negroes too. They were black as well. So-called, they were Israelites, and basically they interpreted the Bible from the Greek and translated it to the Hebrew. Yeah, I stand correct, because the Bible was originally written in Hebrew and in Greek. So what happened was the Roman Catholic Church, they didn't want the people to understand the understanding of, they didn't want them to understand the Bible. It was written in Hebrew, the Greek, and Latin. So what the translators did is they interpreted it. They found the Hebrew scrolls probably and translated it into the English. That's where the King James Bible comes from. So it's just, there's a difference just because it's spoken in English, but it's pretty much somewhat the same sort of thing. Okay, that's why we revert back to the Hebrew.
I'm not sure if you got my point about, for example, Ethiopia. So that reference, that's a key part. So that reference.
But that don't mean, but like the brother was saying, listen. What I'm saying, just because you. I understand. But check this out. What I'm saying is, bro, right? You're lying. I'm saying based on you. Now, let's say you was an actual Sudanese person, right? The actual Sudanese people as a group of people, amongst the sons of Ham. That's one group of people amongst the sons of Ham called Mizraim. And that's the way it's always going to be. You can't say, well, I'm going to be this tribe and that tribe. I can't say, let me turn it, example.
No, but what I'm trying to say...
Listen, bro. One more, I'm going to let you come in.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, let's say, for example, right? I'm a so-called African-American, right? That's my people and all of that stuff. Okay? That means I would be of the tribe of Judah. I can't say, well, I'm from the tribe of Zebulon. I can't pick who I am. This is who I am. So you can't. So the thing with you, brother, you can't equate yourself with Cush, because you're not Cush. You gotta equate yourself with the tribe you was given. Give me numbers 2. Somebody give me numbers.
Can I read this?
Yeah, read that. There's a deal with what I'm dealing with.
What you said before when you said about King James, when you said
Yeah. Okay, get that. Okay. I tell you what, we can leave that alone. Because that's not the main point. Give me numbers 1 and 18. Because ultimately your nationality goes back to your forefathers. You are who your father is. So if your father is of a creed or a race, that's who you are. You can't change that.
Numbers chapter 1 verse 18.
Yeah.
And they assembled all the congregation together.
They assembled all the congregation together. Go on
the first day of the second month.
Yep.
And they declared their pedigrees after their families.
They declared their pedigrees after their families of who?
By the house of their fathers.
By the house of their fathers. Go on.
According to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their posts.
That's just the thing about that. So if your forefathers, which we know about the Sudanese people, inside and outside, and we can learn a little bit more too. But what we know about the people of Sudan, they're obviously, okay, without a shadow of a doubt, those are straight up Egyptians, man. Those are the people of Mizraim.
It's complicated, man.
It's not complicated,
no,
bro.
It is complicated.
To us, it ain't complicated.
No, because what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to tell you is, there's lines between, for example, immigration and, for example, your land being under attack.
Infiltration.
Exactly, infiltration, right. And some of your people going into, for example, a different country. So if that country, the people in that country look similar to you, and they're going towards there, don't you think, for example, that they would sort of come into the society and that doesn't mean that the people that are originally in Sudan that stayed there, that have been there since the beginning.
I'm not talking about that.
Trying to say, so that's what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're saying. You're saying that because we're mixed as well. We're mixed.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard to say.
No, it's not hard to say. It's not.
No, because even for you,
in our position, no, it's not hard. It's not hard. I'm so-called.
Yeah,
I'm from the tribe of Judah.
Okay, so you're so-called African.
I'm an Israelite.
So you're so-called African American.
Right.
If you look at, for example, generationally, the people that would have been from different parts of West Africa were mixed over time. And for example, people doing these sort of test of their genes and where they're originally from, it's impossible to tell.
But
it's impossible to say.
Check this out.
Let me say this
still reality.
It's impossible. It's impossible to say. For example, I'm from Ghana.
Not too much.
It's pretty much
to a certain degree. It is to a certain degree, not too much
because over time, over 400 years, you're telling me.
Bro, you gotta listen to what I'm saying.
Again.
You gotta listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: is that at the end of the day, right? What I'm saying is this. Yeah, it's true you have a mixture of people, you can't tell. But what I'm saying is this, in the reality of speaking, okay, everybody ain't so far mixed out of proportion. Okay, you can still somewhat tell who's who to a certain level of degree. But mainly it really goes by the spirit, okay? But what I'm saying is that if you are who your ancestors are, that's your race, that's your people, okay? And that's why I said to you, you might be one of us, because why your spirit is showing that you're probably one of us, do your forefathers or something like that. Okay, and that's just the whole thing. But what I'm saying is that in amongst of Africa, there's different tribes of people. There's different tribes of people, and the thing with if you're Sudanese, if you're an actual Sudanese person, the people of Sudan, when you deal with the history, they look exactly the same. They look the same because when you check out the faces,
by the way,
and the icons and all that, it's the same.
If you look at, for example, people from Sudan, they're darker than me, like mainly darker.
First Timothy 1 and 4.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to say, like, for example, there's a lot of people from Sudan, South Sudan, or whatever, that are darker than me, and I consider myself. You know what I'm saying? In comparison. So what I'm trying to say is the people of ancient Sudan. I don't get where, for example, this. I'm going to look back at, for example, the Bible. So I understand how the Bible came into. How did the Bible come into, for example?
Hey, this thing is about faith.
Other people.
You know what though? But bro, we're not dealing with that. We're dealing with what he's dealing with, bro. What we're dealing with is the nations. The nations is the thing
How
about
did the Bible get into, for example, people's hands?
But you gotta hear what I'm saying. You can't be doing that. We gotta keep the order. This is the order. You know what I'm saying? Let me finish what I'm saying, and I'm come in.
No, because
Then we'll switch. I know I interrupted you, my bad. I'm sorry for that. Because you're not supposed to do that. But what I'm saying, bro, is it's not complicated. At the end of the day,
things
right?
are complicated in this world.
It's not that complicated. At the end of the day, right? Like for example, the so-called white man. Like you got so-called white people that go back to that are people. You have that. But on generally speaking, okay, generally speaking, they go back to Esau. They go back to a man by the name of Esau, one of the sons of Shem. So you have to identify yourself with what nation you fall under, okay? And if you fall under that nation, then that's who you are. You can't change that. You can't say, well, one minute I want to become an Egyptian, or one minute I want to become a Cushite.
It's not about that, because if you're breaking down, for example, the words, it's about the words and about the, for example, the context in which you're using them. It's about, for example, the time period in which they've been used. That's what I'm trying to say, for example.
But you're complicating it, bro.
No, I'm not complicated, because that's the realness. The realness is, the Greeks came down to, for example, Africa. When they came down, they called, for example, the people that they seen, maybe even Ethiopia. I mean, even the Egyptians were called Ethiopians at that period of time, because they were dark-skinned people. You understand?
Nah, but bro,
because the root of the word, that's what I'm trying to say.
But there was no such thing. Let's do away with that term Ethiopia. Let's do away with
that's what I'm trying to say, because it's complicated. That's what I'm saying, it's complicated.
But you gotta listen. You gotta do more listening and less talking, brother. You know. But what I'm saying is that the people in East Africa today. Let's just go with terms that we understand. The people that's in East Africa today, like for example Ethiopia, Eritrea, those what you call the Cushites. Okay, and even those people there, they used to live in Saudi Arabia too, the Cushites. They used to live there. Okay, back in the day. But those people, like I've told you before, because it's not that complicated. All you gotta do is you know how you find out as well? You know how you find out is by being around the people. Now I've been around Ethiopian people, okay? I came out here and I've encountered a couple This brother has too.
Have you
And
counted this
no,
house?
listen. And what they've come to find out is that their line goes back to Kush. Okay? And it's the same thing. It's the same thing what the brother was saying based on the people of Sudan. 2 people told him that he know that their history goes back to ancient Egypt. And that's a fact. You can't, there's no changing that.
Probably does.
That's a fact. There's no problem.
No, but they were Sudanese, man. They were Lower Sudan, and I said, yeah, they said,
exactly.
And they said, yeah, our people are the Egyptians. We built the pyramids, and everything like that.
Right.
You know, with the Cushites or the so-called Ethiopians, Somalians today, man.
Yeah.
Them.
So where would my people fall?
Well, I told you, you're the Egyptians. You're the people that wore the crowns
I'd say one,
of Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. You're the people that enslaved our people. Well, I don't know if you are a straight descendant of Mizraim or the prophet. You think that you one of us, but the Sudanese as a nation, they're the arch enemies of our nation. We always had wars with them during the time of the judges of Samson and King David. We always had wars with the people of Sudan, while presently being called the Sudanese. We always had wars with them in the ancient world, going back 3,000 years ago, 3,000 plus years ago.
So in the climate and the time that we're in today, do you feel like that's a rational sort of emotion or reaction to have to those people? You know what, in the time we're at, for example, with all this white supremacy, telling me, for example, going back to, for example, ancient wars and whatever kind of strife that we had.
But you know what, though, bro, I want to go track back to what we was going into before.
They were. That's why I said they were.
Well, of course, but what I'm trying to say is, it seems like that rhetoric still, like, for example, plays a part in the way you see these people. It's where, for example, you're describing the people of
The scripture says, I will return my recompense upon you.
Yeah.
Tyrians I done.
Yeah, Tyrians I done.
You know what I'm saying?
I want to go back to the main point, right? Because I know you.
Because I want to
taking the
answer that. That's what I'm trying to say.
But the thing I want to retract to the main point. The main point is this, right? And we're going to make it even more easier for you, because even the term Sudan don't even exist. The term Sudan don't exist. So if you take Sudan out of the equation,
I know what they were called before, Kush. And
no, they weren't.
Then it became called
Kush.
Nubia. It was called Kush, then it was called Nubia, and this is fact.
Okay, well, really, the reason why they called themselves Nubia.
Nubia, because Nub means gold, and it was a land of gold. It had a lot of gold.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
And they had
fair
relationships with ancient Egypt, and they used to steal gold with them. And for example, there were certain times when, for example, the Romans came in to try to take over, was it Egypt? And then, for example, the Cushites, which were the Nubians later on.
But that's
they came
right
in.
there.
You know what? He thinks he's a Cushite because that land, that was where that was the land of Kush. Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
you're right.
And you tell me,
but now listen, you're right.
Where did they come from?
But you're right. You know, but let me explain. You're right. That is the land of Kush because those people were living there. The Somalians, the Ethiopians, they were living there. Your people got pushed. No, listen. Your people lived in Egypt. You got pushed down south, and that's why you think that you're Kush.
No, right. Break down.
That's the land of Kush. You're right.
But
your people were living there. Your people was pushed down south.
My point is, this might be a bit controversial in terms of like with the people that they are today, innit? So look at, for example, look at the Ethiopians today. Look at, for example, the Somalians today. Probably not less Somalian, but look at them today, for example, in terms of their complexion. Yeah.
But you know
what happened? What happened over time? What happened? For example, these Romans came over. There was a lot of mixing. Why do you think they're as light as they are today? Why do you think there's certain colour differences between the Ethiopians?
But you know, though, bro.
No, because that's a real point. Am I lying?
I'm not.
So the Somalians, why are there certain sort of mixes and sort of differences between the way they are today?
But that don't even change anything. Because
no. My point is, I'm not trying to get anyone. What I'm trying to say is, don't you think, for example, that the way things are today, don't you think they could have even come from there and sort of emigrated? That could have still been this.
All I'm saying is
doesn't change that they might be the same people.
If you take a dark skin, listen.
Because I'll let you talk and yeah. Don't you think that those people would have been can't be considered the same people? They could even be like, for example, they could have still emigrated. They could have still emigrated. They could have still emigrated from those, for example, parts of Sudan. They might have emigrated from Egypt. The people that are in Egypt today, I mean, in Ethiopia today, there's been some sort of mixing that has happened.
That could
With
be
who?
that could be the truth.
Well, why are you saying that? What's the point you're making, man? I don't understand.
The point I'm making is the people that there are today in
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia
Right.
today, they could be mixed with, for example, for example, people with the same blood as me. It might be mixed with, for example, Romans. And my point is, it could be the same point where they might have been from Kush. They might still be considering themselves Cushites because they might consider themselves Cushites because they come from the same lineage. You understand? So that might be making my point.
But you know what though? Can I just say one thing? Can I interject, my man? Can I interject? What I'm saying is this, right? Let's just say, for example, your forefather was an Ethiopian, right? Then that's just what it is, bro. You could look like a Sudanese, but you could be Ethiopian.
Of course.
But what I'm saying is my main premise is this: is the fact that at the end of the day, because I don't know too much about where you live. I don't know too much about Sudan. You know more than I do.
Look into that.
But the thing, what I'm saying is bro, what we're saying is this, and we're just being simple. The so-called Sudanese, and I use the term so-called, because that's not who they really are. They're the sons of Ham, from the tribe of Mizraim.
So what were they called?
Going all the way back to the ancient of
What do they call themselves? What were they referred to as?
They were referred to the Mizraim.
Mizraim.
The people of Sudan, they were originally called Mizraim. That's who they are today. They call it now the term Egypt, and you're even right on this too. I was gonna say that. The term Egypt goes back to Greeks. The term Egypt don't even exist. So what would they call themselves before? That's true too, because what does the word Kemet mean? The word Kemet means the Hebrew word Chum. No, it means hot. It means hot. That's what it means. It means hot. From the word chemistry. Bro, look, what I'm saying is this, right? The dark people in Africa today, okay, that's calling themselves, whatever they call themselves, they're the sons of, you're right, they are the people of Kemet, but where does the term Kemet come from? The term Kemet goes back to the word Chum in the Hebrew, which means hot. That's where you get the word chemistry from. When you mix two materials together on a scientific level, I'm getting that. There's a chemistry, there's a heat that comes from that. So that's what the word Chemite means. It goes back to the word Chum, which means what is it? Hot. That's all it means. It don't mean a line of blacks.
It's black. No, it means black.
Because if it meant the line of black, then the word would be Shakar.
Even typing black.
They made that up. They just made that up.
Black.
It's not, bro. Because the thing about it is, like I was saying before, these are the people of Sudan are the sons of Ham. Okay, you could call it. You could say they're Kemet. You could say that all of that. But guess what? They're the people of Mizraim. That's just all it is. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that you might have a mixture of Cushites and Mizraim. That might be the case. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the race. It doesn't change what race you come out of. It don't change it, bro.
So you believe, for example, the people that are in Ethiopia today came from the area that is modern day Sudan, and they got taken.
You talking about the Arabs today?
I'm talking about, for example, Ethiopians. Because you're saying the Ethiopians. So the modern day Ethiopians. So you're saying that the Ethiopians came from modern day Sudan as it is today, and they've been sort of taken out. And that
was their region. That was their region. So that's why you think you're a Cushite.
No, but I'm saying, based on what the facts, are you telling me that they came from modern day Sudan and they got sort of driven to Ethiopia as it is today?
Well, like I said, I'm keeping real. I'm gonna lie to you. I don't know about that whole I don't know about them. I just know that they're the Cushites.
That's what they. But this is based on what they told you. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not based on what we.
But listen, this is based on what people of Sudan have told me.
Right.
This is based on what people of Ethiopia have told me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you.
I believe you've been told that.
Two Sudanese men.
I believe you've been
They
told
have told me that they're the Egyptians.
No, I believe you.
I don't understand, bro.
So I don't understand where you're coming. Where did you learn that? I'm not trying to disrespect or nothing like that. I'm just trying to understand where you got the idea that you're Cushite. I just want to know where you got that.
You know what, though, bro? We're gonna close out because we gotta go.
Let me just say this last thing in it. So the reason why I believe I'm a Cushite, or the way I've looked into it, is.
I'll tell you what, my man. We're gonna close out.
No, of course. I'm just gonna answer this last question. I'm gonna bounce.
Go on.
Yeah. So if you look at, for example, the structures and the pyramids and everything that's going on today, and for example, even going on post like Jesus post obviously AD around them times, these kingdoms were still happening. These kingdoms were still thriving. They had. Trust me, all this stuff has been documented. You know what I'm saying?
But where did you get that? You believe that you're a pusher, but where did your parents tell you that, or did you read it out of a book?
This is
your own
something-
research?
Alright, have you heard of Robin Walker? Look into Robin Walker. Robin Walker. He's a big he's probably the main sort of African or historian in the UK. You know what I'm saying? So he's been looking into this. He's been looking into the relationship with, for example.
Does he know the Bible? Is he familiar with the Bible?
He's familiar with the Bible.
Yeah, this is yours, huh?
He's familiar with the Bible.
I already drunk, man.
But you drunk yours.
I feel like I'm
You are. This is yours.
Do you know about anything about do you know anything about, for example,
My mouth is getting dry.
Osiris and Isis and Horus? Osiris and Isis and Horus.
Yeah.
So what do you understand about that?
Those the gods of the Egyptians.
What story do you understand that's associated with Horus?
Horus, that's like Horus, what's it, Seti, and Isis. Those are like, I remember reading about the god, like, something about, I forget the story, man. I forget the story of like, father and son.
So Horus was born of a virgin birth. Horus had 12 disciples. Horus, pretty sure he died on the cross. Was it on the cross, or he was crucified? That's what I know. He sort of healed the sick, raised the dead. You know what I'm saying? And all these stories existed 3,000 years before Jesus. This supposed Jesus existed.
I'm not assuming that, yeah?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So my whole premise, we didn't even get into this because obviously this is a whole conversation. Obviously we both got places to go to. But the whole premise of what I'm trying to say is, why would you? How can I put this?
Keep it raw.
Why would you sort of put, for example, your belief in the Bible that was given to you from these Europeans? Because that's the realness. They were given to you by the Europeans. And for example, the first ship that was given that was sort of taken from, you know what I'm saying, from Europe to Africa was Good Ship Jesus. It was named that. You know what I'm saying? So why would you believe that?
I have to explain that now. I have to explain.
Of course, I'm expecting you to. You know what I'm saying? If, for example, even getting based on, for example, this story, you know what I'm saying? That story that existed, and there's even other stories. For example, I'm not even sure. I think it's through Hinduism. There's certain stories replicated.
Yeah, but bro, we're not dealing with that.
No, but this is realness. This is what's happening in the world. These are stories that have been replicated. So why would you sort of place your whole belief on this Bible?
If you let me explain. Now, the thing with now, you're right about that. You're right about that because amongst all of the other nations, they have a different storyline. Okay, and that was always their thing because the thing with the other nations, they were always, what is it, man? Like for example, like when you read the book of Genesis 1:1, it speaks about how the Lord created the earth and etc. Now the ancient Egyptians, they had a different concept. Their concept was different.
Okay. 42 laws of life.
That has nothing to do with the Bible.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So what? Don't you see the similarities between
That's what I'm saying. But it's not. But the thing about it is, yeah, you have all of this stuff going on, but there's a right way and there's a false way. All of them I'm just being real. We're being real now. The other nations, their ideologies are wrong. Their ideologies are wrong. It's not the true way. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. Their way is wrong.
You get what I'm saying? It's perspective, isn't it? Am I being real? Is it perspective?
I understand what you're saying. But now this whole like the virgin birth and God slept with a woman and immaculate conception.
I mean,
right? That's not in the Bible. Listen. That's the lies that the white man said about the Bible. The white man never ever authorized or read the Bible. Listen. They gave us the Bible, okay, but they never read the Bible.
They rewrote it.
No. Listen. King James was a black man. He was a black man. A black man. Okay, he was a black man. Okay, we ruled up until around King. It was a process of time when the white man took over. It's all historical.
So what time was it?
Nah, you can say after what was King James' son, man?
So how long have
You know Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah,
Oliver Cromwell, main figure. That's during that time period. That's when white people took over England. So during that time period,
was that 200 years ago? 300 years ago?
I did the research, but it's one out of my head.
Probably 200 years ago.
Christopher Cromwell. When you look into that,
he's the one that took over, for example, Parliament after.
Right.
Or Parliament took over, sort of killed him.
Basically, he's the one that rose up against. Was it Charles, man? And beheaded him.
Yeah, was it Charles II?
Yeah, he was the son of King James. No, I forget the name. Man. Anyway.
Oh, you mean Black Boy? He was Black
What's his
Boy.
name?
I think he was Charles II, I believe.
Charles beheaded him. Basically, it was a whole thing about Basically, we were letting white people into high positions.
You're right.
And then Oliver Cromwell conspired with the Jews in Amsterdam and said, boom, he said, if you finance my war against Charles, I'll bring you motherfuckers into England. And that's how they gained control over England. Okay, but prior to that, we was the ones ruling England. Okay, we was the ones ruling England. Henry VIII, with his multiple wives, those were black men. Even though you won't believe it, even though you won't believe it, those are us.
There's a lot of things that was going on in the past.
Okay, all the portraits you see of Henry VIII being a overweight white man, those are all lies. But the point is, I'm trying to say about why we would believe in the Bible, because we've learned that everything that's out here was all been lies. So we have to re-educate in the truth.
Now, of course.
And now our faith, why we give ourselves over to the Bible, because it's faith. It's just something that we just know is true.
I hear that, but
we don't have all these physical evidence things that people of the world.
I believe that. Yeah? But I'm saying it's one of the ones where if something's been given to you since birth, and you, for example, you have an emotional attachment to something. For example, you were given that, and obviously for generations and generations, your ancestors, since like, for example, slavery and all this other kind of stuff that's going on, you have an emotional attachment. So you're, I'm coming from like a scientific perspective, but like I'm saying, trying to be a real perspective.
Yeah.
If you've been given this sort of this Bible from birth, you're gonna have that emotional attachment.
I wasn't given the Bible from birth.
No, but bro,
whether it was right or not.
Can I interject? Can I just say one thing? Now, the thing with the Bible, we have to deal with this. Now, the thing with the Bible, what does the word Bible mean? The word Bible comes from the word biblios, which means a collection of books. Now, when you open the scriptures, brother, if you don't mind, if you open these scriptures up, just give me any verse. Now, for example, if you look at the book of Job, what nationality was Job coming from? Okay. Now, it doesn't say, but Job was one of the sons of God. He was one of the chosen people of God. Okay, so in that term, we will consider him as an Israelite. Okay, but the thing about it is that the people that wrote this Bible, okay, going all the way back 3,000, 4,000 years ago, was our people. The white man never wrote this Bible.
Even the name is being Job, man.
But it English. But it don't matter. It don't matter. At the end of the day, we wrote this. We wrote the scriptures.
This is English. We are reading this English. We never spoke English thousands of years ago. We spoke Hebrew. That's what I'm trying to say. King James translated the Bible out of ancient Hebrew, ancient Greek, into what you're reading right now.
Right.
So when you're seeing James, no one had James 2,000 years ago, and Jesus, no one had James. So you got to understand, you got to back into the ancient Hebrew. That's why we're reclaiming our language. We're reclaiming something that was lost. When we grow up, we used to speak English.
No, of course.
We thinking that we're Africans, but when we heard these words, we're thinking, okay, we're Hebrew Israelites. So we must understand that what we're reading was once upon a time written in ancient Hebrew, in ancient Greek. So we must, to understand the Bible fully, we got to learn a bit of Hebrew, we got to learn a bit of Greek.
Of course. You know
what I'm trying to say?
I respect that you're going to learn it, because what I'm trying to say is, I feel like even the Bible is today, man. Like,
Right. It's been changed. Okay, you got different Bibles. You got
even for example, like recent history. I'm talking about like the Bible, for example, that happened. That was there, like even a couple decades ago. Yeah. Said that, for example, Jesus had skin of copper. He had wool hair. Right. The modern day one, the one I've seen like recently, it's completely changed to like I can't remember what.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's understandable.
You know
What I'm saying is,
the world we see as it is today, for example, especially in America.
just to not confuse things, bro. What I'm saying is this: is that this Bible had the so-called white, the same Bible condemns the so-called white man. So why would it be his book? He wrote the stripes. When you read the book, if you don't mind, bro, if I can hold your Bible for you.
Because I feel like
If you open this up,
I feel like it condemns black people more than it does white.
No,
You don't know it. You don't know it. You know the white man's version, the blonde head. That's what you know. But now when you come to us, the Hebrew Israelites, you realize that everything you ever knew about the Bible was all bullshit.
I've looked into it.
No, but you haven't though. You learned it from the church. You learned from the church way.
Right,
So when
which
you
is
come
the
to this,
white
we're not nothing to do with church. We against the church. We tell them that what they're saying is bullshit.
Me too.
Now, but now when you come to this, you learn everything from ground zero again about it. You gotta start from ground zero.
You see, what your problem is.
You haven't.
Your issue. Listen.
You haven't, man. You learned it from the church.
You think I'm not Christian no more? Of course. Why do you think I decided? Why do you think I decided not to be a Christian no more?
Your problem is this.
Listen, you haven't come to us. You're coming from. Sorry, let me just cut, man. But you're coming from their angle, man. You're getting from whatever you know about the Bible. You're getting it from them. That's why you're coming to us thinking we're like them. We're not like them.
Because I was a Christian, and it came to a point where I looked at certain things up that were in the
my
Bible.
man, can I interject real quick? The reason why you have an issue with this Bible, because all around throughout the years, you've been thinking in your mind, which is what the majority of our people think to this very day, that this Bible is the white man's book. This is his book. This is his culture. I'm telling you, it's not his culture, because at the end of the day, when you read this Bible, okay, the Israelites wrote what was written in there. And what color were the Israelites? They weren't white people. They were so-called Negroes.
I got a precept.
The way, for example,
Go on, bro.
Let me just read this. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 24.
Right.
Or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning,
Right.
and the quick flesh that burneth have a white, bright spot,
They have a bright spot. Go on.
somewhat reddish or white,
Yep.
then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin,
Right, and it being sight deeper than the skin.
it is a leprosy.
It is a leprosy. So the Bible deals with leprosy. So if Esau, if the so-called Europeans are the people of the Bible, how come the Bible says that they're condemned with leprosy? Because leprosy is a disease of the skin. Okay, you need melanation to protect you from the ultraviolet from the sun. That's why we have melanation. So the people of God are going to be melanated people. He's not going to create people that's leprosy. That don't make sense. Go on.
That says, let me read it from Numbers chapter 12, verse 7. Verse 7. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house.
I know this one,
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold.
Right.
Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
Right.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them,
Yeah.
and he departed.
Yeah.
And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous,
Miriam
white
became
as
leprosy,
snow.
White as snow. So her pigmentation was stripped totally away from her. Go on.
And it said, as white as snow, and Aaron looked upon Miriam,
Yep.
and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, where we have done foolishly.
That was an ultra plague. That was the worst plague you could even think about happening to your family. It's having your whole. Let's say, for example, you woke up one morning and you looked exactly like a Caucasian man. That's a plague in itself.
Your hands turned white.
Your whole body turned white. That was a plague. So the Bible likens. Listen. The Bible likens that to leprosy, a plague. So going back to what I was saying before, the people that actually wrote what we're reading today, 3,000, whether it was 4,000, 2,000 years ago, they were so-called Negroes like myself and this brother. Okay, they were not white people. You know, when you think about the Bible,
I know that.
You think about white people with beards and long beards. That's not their culture.
Listen, I know that. I've looked into that. I'm trying to say.
But if you looked into it, you wouldn't be coming against us with that, bro.
No, what I'm trying to say.
You would have understood. Listen. I'm not getting at you. You would have understood that King James was a so-called black man.
That's a different kind of thing, man. that's the reason.
And the reason why you think that he was a so-called white man, because what you don't understand this is you don't understand that our people like myself, ruled Europe. The so-called white man.
I know the Moors. I know.
Well, I'm going further. I'm going all the way back to the 2nd century. Because what happened was, I'm gonna school you with something. I'll let you come in. Now, during the time of ancient Rome was governed by obviously the Europeans, and they governed in certain regions.
The Romans were black.
Now that's bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? For example,
Listen. The main, now you had some so-called dark-skinned people in ancient Rome, but the main Romans were so-called white. Let's call it what it is. Now, they ruled certain parts of Europe, and then when they fell out of power, when did they fall out of power? Mainly around, I say about the 2nd century AD. When September Severus came in effect, right? Okay, and he was considered an African, but he was an Israelite. So from that time on, what you had his lineage, and you had Constantine the Noble, which Constantine the Noble was the guy that established the Nicene Council. Constantine the Great.
Nicene Council, yeah.
He was the one that established the Nicene Council, right? And that was 324 AD. Okay.
I heard about that too.
So from that time forward, 1,000 years into the future, our people floodgated Europe and ruled over it.
Right.
Okay, and that's why in order for you to be a king of England, you would have to go back to the tribe of Judah. Okay. Why would they know? Why would they say that? Because the same people, listen, the same people that ruled Europe was our people. They weren't white people.
Is that connected to Hannibal at all?
What's that?
Is it connected to Hannibal at all? That might be my ignorance, but is it connected to Hannibal?
You talking about Vlad Tepes, right?
Hannibal. Carthage.
Yeah, Carthaginian. No, that's going further back. Because what you had is
they ruled pretty much like the.
No, but that's a different time. Okay, I'm talking about AD. Now, what happened was around the 5th century AD, from 1,000 years forward into the future, our people started to govern the whole entire parts of Europe. And I even have the books as well.
These people, they're the Ethiopians. They're Cush.
Yeah, you deal with it, brother.
Yeah, I was going into that because you were saying something about the Bible condemn. You feel like the Bible condemns black people. And black people talk.
Because when they curse with blackness,
You see that?
That's what I'm saying.
You see? Because that's the Roman Catholic. That's the.
Yes,
now,
what would they curse with?
Listen, there's nothing cursed about being black. That's a blessing.
No. Of course, I believe that.
Right,
but I'm trying to say what the Bible says.
No, the Bible doesn't say that.
But we just
let me say. That's something that someone told you, and you just went by that. If you type that in the Bible, that doesn't come up. That's no verse in the Bible.
That's not in there.
And what Canaan was cursed with is that he'd be a servant unto his brother Shem.
Right. So let me say this.
The Canaanites would be servants unto Shem.
Let me say this point. Why I look into that. So if you look at, for example, when black people were first taken over, introduced to the Bible, the slave masters were saying, you know what? That's what they will get.
That's what get their knowledge from.
So they're saying your people were cursed, you people are the
bullshit. It's lies.
Yeah.
And we believe those lies.
That. And even today, black people are saying,
and I believe in those lies. But now they need to. That's why the Bible talks about renewing your mind, because you was lied to. The serpent deceived the whole world.
Gave you the idea.
You read the Bible, says the serpent will let loose and deceive the nations. That's what the white man did. The white man deceived the whole world. So now you have to start from ground zero and learn that leprosy is actually the curse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Having no melanin, that's the curse.
That's the curse. And I'm going to prove that. And I'm going to prove that too. I'm going to prove that too. At the end of the day, bro.
That's a plague of the skin.
Bro. All I'm saying is this: if you're of Caucasian descent, right? I've went to school all my life.
Me too.
I know what they're all about. Okay, now the thing about it is right? I've been to beaches and stuff like that. When I go to the beach, I don't have to put on suntan lotion 1000.
Me too.
I don't have to do that. So at the end of the day, why in the hell would it be cursed to be me when it's an issue when I have to put suntan lotion because I might get melanoma, which is skin cancer. I don't get skin cancer.
If you benefit from telling a person that they're cursed, then you have more sort of will over you. You can put your will over them.
What's that?
I'm talking about in terms of, for example, the slave masters, the people that were introduced.
Yeah, but they lied. They lied.
Of course they lied.
They lied. They said that they said that you know, you're insignificant, and they have to lie anyway because when you look at these Edomites, there's more dark people on the earth than they are. So they have to lie and say, well, we're the supreme people to cover their asses. They have to do that.
I know that.
But that doesn't make it true. But what the brother is saying is which I'm on, which
that's what I'm saying.
Which I'm on this thing as well. No, let me finish what I'm saying. What I'm going to do what the brother was saying is a very key point. Because what you've been taught that, and this is what our people have been taught psychologically, is that when they think about the Bible, they think of it as white culture. It ain't got nothing to do with white culture. Okay, this is our culture. When you read about Moses, when you read about Jeremiah, Ezekiel, that's my culture. The so-called white culture goes back to Esau. Okay, they have no dealings in this Bible, bro.
Now I know where it's going.
Yeah, the devil. That's what the Bible
says.
says.
Have you heard about, for example, the ancient Egyptian Matunate?
What's that? Say it again.
Matunate.
No, I don't know.
So it's basically the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Okay.
A lot of different stories, for example, that
that's why you can't read these books, man.
Show the
Egyptian Book of the Dead.
This is stuff that happened, man. These are the books that exist. So look at the Book of the Dead. I can't even give specifics right now, but I'm pretty sure like there's a few characters that were ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead that were put into the ancient Egyptian Bible. Even another thing as well, which is kind of different as well. Look at who decides what books are taken from the Torah that were, for example, existed before the Bible. Who broke it down and said, yo, we're going to take these, because the Torah was how long? The Torah had how many books in it? The Torah had some, the Torah,
that's the old Testament.
So who decided what bits are going to get taken out and what bits aren't?
Well, it was the Bible destruction group, but that doesn't mean that
no, but I'm saying there's a lot of different. That's why.
It doesn't mean that the Bible's on a void.
Obviously, it's good to talk to a brother like this, but this is why we say this thing is about faith, man. Because I know you're saying that, but our thing is faith because it's something that we just know. Now we don't have all the physical artifacts. We don't have that. We don't have all the artifacts. We don't have all the physical, the bones of our ancestors to prove. We don't have the records. None of us can prove that we're Israelites. When we tell you we're Israelites, we can't prove that. We can just tell you something that we just know.
But this stuff is like relative.
This is faith. So when we come out here, if what we're saying don't resonate with you, it's because you ain't with it.
That's what it all boils down to.
No, but look, I get that.
That's true.
I feel that. But the next black person can say the same thing about, for example, them seeing themselves as being cursed people for being black.
Because he believes that white supremacist. That's because he believes that white supremacist bullshit, man. Now, if he knew the truth, he'd be free. He'd be free.
I believe that, but what I'm trying to say is that same premise can't run if you're going to talk about, for example, faith and believing, for example. Because on the real, you have to look at it from like
it's a spiritual thing. It's got nothing to do with this spiritual simple or stupid.
Now spiritual is a different thing.
No. Be having faith. That's the substance of. That's the evidence of things not seen. That's something that you can't prove, but you just know it. You just know it. It's something that I can't prove it, but it's something that you just know.
That's relative.
It's like air. It's like air. I can't prove there's air around me, but I just know it's there.
That's relative.
It's got nothing to do with being faith and.
Now, what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm trying to challenge it in the sense where you can pick and choose what you feel like you just know or you don't. It's one of the ones where it's relative. Like, it's not.
You know, my man, I'm gonna just be straight with you, bro. I'm gonna be straight.
No, be straight.
All I'm gonna say is this, right? I know, for example, based on your spirit, you're probably one of us anyway. All I'm gonna say is this: if you can't get with what we're saying, which is the Bible, because that's just the foundation. That's just the foundation. If you can't get with the foundation, which is the scriptures, then you're not of the elect. You're not going to be saved. You're going to be the 2/3 that's going to be destroyed. That's just the hardcore truth. Because what I haven't told you is that there's going to become a nuclear war out here. There's going to come martial law in the streets, and there's going to be a lot of death out here. So that's just the hardcore. But the thing about it is if you ain't getting down with the foundation,
I don't connect to that though.
Hey, that's just what it is, man. I can't
force
force
you. I believe that.
Okay.
But I feel like
it's because of what you've learned. That's why you have that mentality towards the Bible. I learned everything that you know about the Bible.
You grew up a Christian?
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I went to church, I did all that.
So what I'm trying to say is, don't you feel like that emotional attachment, you growing up, being within that, has affected the way you, for example, see the world today?
Well, listen.
Where you
For
feel
the time I was a Christian, and I wasn't a hardcore Christian. I didn't go to church for a long
I just
time.
went there because my mother.
I went there because my mom took me there. You know what I'm trying to say? Why I didn't go because I didn't understand the Bible.
But still, there's subconscious things that come into that.
No, it worked.
I believe this, I go to heaven. That's what I'm trying to say. No, because that's subconscious. It's real. You can't escape that.
Okay, all right, but now, when they told me that, when they read to me some verses about being an Israelite, and we're Israelites, that's something
what changed it for you? What changed it for you? What made you think, yo?
That we're the people of God. The reason why the black people in the ghettos that are on drugs and are shooting one another up in the ghetto. They're the real people of God. When I heard that, I was like, okay, and that's what struck it for me, and that's when I kept watching more and more. When they're cursing out the white man for what he did to us in slavery, I was like, yeah, that sounds right, man. When cursing out the black woman for doing things she doing, I was like, yeah, because I just came out of a relationship, with black us woman, like, yeah, fuck them black bitches. That's what got me with it, man. So that's how I got with it, man, and that's how I'm here today, because I know it's something that I just know. It's right, it's true. When everything that I learned before about the Bible was all bullshit. That's why when pastors come up, we're at conflict. Because they're going wrong and we know that we're going right. And then if they don't believe, they're going to die.
What I'm saying is, just question what you've been, you know what I'm saying? Just question things, innit? You know what I'm saying?
I ain't questioning nothing. I've got this.
What I'm trying to say is, it's healthy. That's what I feel like religion does. It makes you feel like,
this is a religion.
If you question it, then you're going to hell. Questioning things is a good thing, so you can